Sit back, dear friends, and hear the tale, when fairies flew and ships did sail. You know the stories often told, of Peter Pan, both brave and bold, of Tinker Bell, clever and smart, of evil men born black of heart, adventure and treasure buried in sand, time held its breath in Neverland. But darkness fell on the island fair, a sickness rose of no compare. Each creature and plant fell one by one, no respite found for anyone. So the island died, its people scattered, those left behind broken and battered. Years went by, no end in sight. Then through the darkness came new light. The island breathes and life returns. Within our heroes a fire burns. The drive to find those who are lost, to build a home at any cost. Join pixies, skeletons, a mermaid or two, healers, never boys, and lost boys too. They're here each week, new stories told. So pull up a chair and never grow old.
Hello, everybody! Surprise! Welcome. It is Friday night. It is time for a little Dungeons and Dragons set in Neverland. First and foremost, happy birthday! Happy birthday to Indigo Chameleon. It is a birthday stream. We're getting birthday messages from all over the place in the chat and things of that sort. Happy birthday from all sorts of people, and Moswald and Icky and the entire crew, the Cheshire Theory. Welcome new people that have joined up with the crew. The Circle of Ash crew is all here tonight. Thank you, Circle
you guys
of Ash
are awesome!
And everyone that's brand new. Call sign Scarecrow. Thank you. I don't know if you're watching or not, but that intro it hits me right in the feels every single time. So thank you so much. We have a few announcements to get through before we get started with tonight's game. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Lord Xmanus. Thank you, Professor Nader. Yes, you can come have a seat. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for delaying your stream to come say happy birthday. Meowth, I'm so glad you liked the intro. So we've got a few announcements before we get started with tonight's game. A couple of new things have been added to the channel. One that's not a new thing, but a great thing is the Discord. You can come hang out with us on the Discord. It's a chance for you to chat and hang out and find memes and character info and get updated schedules and things of that sort. So come and do that. Two, we have a brand new thing that we're introducing. Any of you that are watching on desktop, I have introduced Dimitri's online store. All of the mythical items that you have been able to find. Oh my gosh, thank you for all those subscriptions. Icky, thank you.
Nice.
All of the online goods that you see have now been added to a special store where you can buy items and articles of clothing and mystical things associated with all of the campaigns and level up for your Twitch avatar. Essentially, you spend bits and you buy items. It's this little thing located right below the screen. A lot of, you can buy right now the Neverheart necklace. You can buy the, well, you could have bought the sword and shield belonging to Daisy. They're limited edition items, and that got snatched up quick. I'm thinking the next customized item is Mandrake Madigan's hat, but he doesn't want anybody to buy it because there's only one, and then we're going to start. The next item that I have designed and set up is Desbahai's wooden animal figurines, which will be next, that people will be able to buy and level up their avatar with. So please help. It helps us out, and it's a little cool, fun little game that we've added to heighten the experience for Indigo Chameleon. For everybody that shared the post and subscriptions, thank you so much. There's also a slice of chocolate cake to celebrate Indigo Chameleon's birthday. I've noticed a lot of people are buying virtual slices of cake. So thank you so much to celebrate Indigo Chameleon's birthday with us and buy pieces of cake. We have an updated schedule. So tonight is Friday night. The next thing happening on the channel is going to be it's going to be Sunday. Sunday we've got a special one-shot happening. We have this place called Fairly, which is fairly close to all the other kingdoms, but it's got a fairy. All of the vibes and things like that are fairy tale vibe, and so fairy tale quest. And we've got a brand new set of players that are coming in to play in that. You can go. Come back when you can. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for grabbing a Neverheart necklace, and thank you for buying a piece of cake. That's happening on Sunday. We've got a special one shot. Tune in for that. On Monday night, it's going to be me probably playing some games. On Tuesday, it's our other tabletop game set in Wonderland. It's called Wonder. You can catch that guy over there, Alcaboose Bender, as Mandrake Madigan, the great grandson of the Mad Hatter. And you can catch Indigo Chameleon, and she is a furbolg who's gone through some changes, and Alcaboose Bender has also gone through some changes.
Yep.
He lost an arm. You lost your freaking arm.
Whoa. I lost an arm, but I gained a smoke arm.
That is something that happens.
Smoky, appendagey thingy.
Because D&D is the best. So tune in for that. On Tuesday, it's another D&D game. On Wednesday night, you can catch Indigo Chameleon and I over on the Plaster Dragon for our very last episode of Something Wicked This Way Comes. The season finale over at the Plaster Dragon, so you don't want to miss that. And we cycle back around to Thursday night, where there's going to be something fun and interesting. But to find out what it is, you got to tune into the Discord and keep watching the channel, and we'll let you guys know what's going on. I think that's it for announcements. Unless I missed something. Did I miss something?
No, I think we got it.
Okay.
Yes.
You gave me a look. Oh, there's
No,
also
no,
a store.
I was thinking.
There's also a store. Legend Hillary's wearing a cool
Oh.
shirt.
Yeah.
Our new player Annette, Indigo Chameleon's sister, is wearing a cool shirt.
You can't get this shirt. I'm sorry.
You can't. That's Garrison's shirt. You can't take that.
It's fine.
Indigo Chameleon is also repping the brand tonight with her Karma shirt. You can visit the shop and get something there to rep that. Now I think we're done.
I think.
Once upon a time in Neverland. The group previously had set forth on this journey through a temple. It was the first dungeon the group had encountered, and it's a version of a dungeon I don't think any of them had ever experienced before, in or out of game. Had a lighthearted tint to it, but basically this dungeon was a way to dive into the mythos of Neverland. And learning about the origins of Peter. And some of the characters discovered certain aspects of the dungeon. They spent a lot of time with Fortunado, a artificer who was there with his bunny companion named Edwin Reynolds. And through exploring this dungeon, they discovered that this area had opened up based on a woman sacrificing what looked to be a small child to prevent them from ever growing old and never having to grow up and be afflicted by sickness and death and all of the things that came with just living life. I highly recommend you tune in because this is sort of a truncated version of the events that happened. Regardless of that, the team managed to make their way through this cavernous dungeon set in Skull Rock. As they exited the dungeon, they were able to find these amazing necklaces that had a litany of abilities. Thank you, Icky V, for helping create those, and allow them to channel their inner child. These necklaces are very powerful artifacts that they all seem to possess, and when placed upon a person that's, let's say, a little more chaotic or a little evil, can be used to switch their morality, awaken the inner child within them, very Kingdom Hearts-esque, and turn them into a force for good for 1 hour. In which case, they revert back to their original sort of morality, and they remember exactly that they were adjusted for a small period of time. So the ability to change someone's heart in that way is very powerful indeed. If you wear this amulet, your alignment also is going to start steering towards, if it is not already, a good alignment, be it chaotic good or lawful good or neutral good, things of that sort. When we last left this particular group, a group of lost boys had converged, coming running up the beach, and a group of never boys, the group of girls that vowed to never be lost boys and form their own sort of sanction on the island, also came running up to the beach and stopping and seeing this motley crew taking hold. These two characters off on the side are not there yet. but we will meet them in just a second. You can please don't fall down. And in fact, yeah. So, adventurers, you're on the beach, and like I said before, these two groups sort of converge on you. They come running out of the wooded area, and they sort of stop not too far away. Both the Lost Boys and the Never Boys have weapons drawn at their side. As these weapons are drawn and they're sort of like staring at the group, there's a long pause as nobody wants to be the first one to make a move. There is a bit of a commotion as one of the Never Boys looks over at Thistle and whispers something to a girl. You recognize this girl immediately. Her name is Dandelion. And Dandelion is a tall girl. She's little, she's got features, but she's got long, lanky features. And when I say tall, I mean she's like 5 feet, like tall. Like in terms of a kid, like she's the tallest of all the kids, boys or girls alike, that are just sort of like lined up and ready to go. And she sort of stands forward and looks at you, and she waves.
I wave back.
And she makes a motion for you to come join the girls, as they just keep staring down the boys.
Hang on a minute. We're not. Where did you guys come from? You're back?
What do you mean?
When'd you get back?
What do you mean? Where did we come from? Where did you come from?
We've been here for at least some time.
We remember fighting the sickness, and then, like, we just all woke up. There's a bunch of us.
Yeah.
Well, that's great news. Hello everyone.
Everybody draws their weapons and points them at that guy.
He's not a pirate.
He looks like a pirate.
I know he looks like a pirate. He's
His
not a
feet
pirate.
are huge.
I know.
Why is he wearing kids' clothes?
But they're mine.
Are you? The boys like sort of look over, and he's like, he's got Slowpoke's turtle, and one of the kids like rushes forward and like holds up like a knife to your throat. He's gonna walk up. He's real
Do
short.
I recognize any of them?
He's having a stretch. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Do I recognize any of the boys?
You do not, which
like
is
10.
concerning.
Strange, yeah.
Yeah, you hold up the knife, and he's holding up the knife, and you're kind of trying to look and dart your eyes back and forth, but you're not quite sure whether you recognize any of these little ones.
No, you don't understand. I am Slowpoke.
He just got old.
Right. It's
Everybody here, except for you two, give me a perception check.
Nope.
14.
12,
22.
22.
10.
You see, you are outside of Neverland as you look down as a god.
Yeah.
As everyone's sort of engaged in this conversation, all of a sudden the group of Never Boys and the group of Lost Boys dart their eyes up and like take a few steps backwards into the woods. Dandelion will look over at where you are and say, "Thistle, find me." And they go tearing off into the woods.
They look behind us?
They look behind you.
I look
Yeah, I want
behind
to turn
us.
around.
Standing there are about 6 of the merfolk. I say 6 because it is 2 individuals. One of them, what does she look like?
Black hair, pale skin, black eyes.
Okay.
Fairly like she has legs because she's on land.
Mm-hmm.
But no shoes, and fairly like raggedy. Like I don't care, got picked off some abandoned line somewhere, kind of clothes.
Okay.
Like a fairly ornate like headband tiara made of bones, and some other somewhat noticeable stuff, but that's about it.
She is being escorted by the same of the mer people that talked with Cap. And as they're walking forward, you notice that it's her escorting this one who has this crown upon her head. She's walking, she looks a little bit like haggard, and she doesn't look as well sort of poised as the rest of the group. And as she's being escorted, there are 2 guards flanking them, okay? And one sort of really regal-looking tall one. He's wearing robes. The other two guards are wearing armor, and the regal-looking one is dragging somebody who has a rope tied around their neck. What is the one that's being dragged with a rope around their neck look like?
He has baby blue skin, a dark blue pompadour with horns kind of going around it. They're polished. You can tell that he's polished the horns, and he is wearing a dark purple suit, like dressed to the nines.
Are we
I mean-
picturing like tiefling-esque?
We're picturing tiefling-esque, and
He looks like the one god guy.
he does look like the one god guy. He looks a lot like Dole, but like Dole was wearing dress to the nines. This guy, there is not a button, there is not a stray thread, there is nothing about his clothing that is out of place. And even as he's dragged on the ground, this person seems more concerned about dirt marks being left on their pants than about personal safety. As they're being dragged by the neck, they're just like, stop it, here we go, and like they're doing this. This mermaid figure will walk forward, and as she does, she will bow to each and every one of you. And she will look over at you, and she will give you a look as if to say, shut your mouth.
That's right.
You have done a great favor for my people. I am sorry to scare the young ones, but our reputation precedes us. Some of you are aware of our ferocity. Some of you are aware of our, how should I say this, of enjoying our territories. So, that being said, I know that you should not, nor do I think you would trust me. So instead I come to you with a business proposal. Neverland is changing around us very fast and very suddenly. We have all felt it, as I'm sure you have, and that being said, alliances which once thought unfathomable are now being reconsidered. We have a job, and due to our predisposition towards water and not dying, we would like you to do it for us. We are prepared to offer you permanent safe passage on all beaches hereto henceforth with. As she says this, she will reach down beside her and pull up these medallions. These medallions look like small polyhedral items. They almost look like dice that would be featured in a dice giveaway that we're doing tonight. And she holds these up and says, there is one for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all 6 of you with one to grow on. And as she holds these up, she goes, these are what my people refer to as clicky clacks. These clicky clacks are known to bring luck to you and will prevent any of my people from harming you should you be in the water. So anyone that happens to be watching this conversation from afar could type, hang on, let me send the word to Indigo first so that she can set this up. We'll be able to type in the word.
This is the strangest conversation I believe I've ever had.
These are rainbow clicky clacks. They seem to sparkle in the sun as she holds them up. Indigo, you let me know when you are ready to announce.
I am typing it now.
I'm prepared to offer you this safe passage in
It's
return. You will type in the word water, chat, only to gain access to a raffle ticket to win these clicky clacks. We will mail them out to you, along with a few special surprises that we are not ready to release to the general public yet, but you will be the first ones to get.
Right, so how do we type the word water
She
into
goes-
the chat.
Asphyxia, step forward, please. The haggard-looking mermaid is sort of walks forward a bit, and as she does, she goes, Asphyxia needs guidance, and she also needs guides. There is a lagoon located at the center of the island. It's a saltwater lagoon. It requires one to walk across the ground, something that some of us are not comfortable with, even on our best days. There is something that she must do, and it hasn't been done for many a year, but it would grant us insight into some of these immediate changes that are happening to the island. She can defend herself, and as she says that, a couple of the guards like take a step backward and just sort of instinctively like reach towards their groins and take it like a couple of steps backward. But we thought better be safe than sorry. So,
I mean, sure. But what's the That's it. Just bring her somewhere.
yes, we are also sending a pet with her.
What pet?
Come here, dog. Dog.
Now we have spoken about this, and that is
Dog.
rude.
There is a little tug on the leash from the man in the robes as the man in the suit is sort of pushed forward a little bit. This one was caught. What he claims to do is investigating for scientific reasons our areas and looking around and things of that sort, but we know better. We believe him to be a spy of the highest order. So he has been our prisoner. We will send the dog with to, in case of any sort of bad energy or any misplaced spells, to jump in front of them and protect Asphyxia with his life.
Or if we get hungry.
Or if you get hungry, he's a snack.
I really hate these mermaids.
I think I'm okay. I'm
All
fine.
right. Very well. Do with him as you wish. Yeah. So, are we reached at an accord? Is this acceptable to everyone here?
What
Suppose.
must she do?
What does she do?
What must she do?
She must.
There is a spell that I must complete at a specific location at a specific time.
I
and
assume the lagoon.
The lagoon is the location correct. That is the mental prowess in this group is just amazing. Yeah. It is the lagoon. That is the place we will be going to perform the spell. I may need to gather an ingredient or two on the way to the lagoon, but it should be very simple, easy to find stuff.
Before we agree, is this spell going to affect any of us in a negative fashion?
The performing of the spell will not affect any of you in any negative fashion.
But the spell does.
The spell will affect some things in the world.
On our home.
Well, this sounds
I think I'd like more information because what I've noticed from mermaids, not to generalize or anything, but is sometimes they're really nice and sometimes they like to kill us. So
That's true.
The mermaid that was sort of been the figurehead of this entire conversation laughs at this and then looks around and realizes it was not a joke, this thing you just said, and then sort of nods her head solemnly.
Yes, that does happen. Yeah. Right. So I turn to the one who's like kind of been the leader. What is this spell? What would it do?
This spell is one that would grant us awareness.
That means next to nothing to me.
There is water all over the island, more so than you could possibly imagine. Water is the lifeblood of the island itself. It travels under the ground, over rocks, in the trees. It is located everywhere. The completion of this spell will tax Asphyxia to a point where she may not be able to return to us. So, what she says is true. There is indeed the possibility of someone not coming back. And I don't think it's one of you.
insight on that.
Give me an insight check.
That's gonna be 22.
She looks completely 100% like she's telling the truth.
Well, I'm glad we've all hit our vague quota for the day.
Is there a quota?
Never mind.
I think
Tim.
he was being sarcastic.
I don't believe we caught your name.
No, you didn't. You won't catch it.
And
No,
give it to me.
I get it. It's a fish joke. You
Um,
can't get.
Earlier
No.
she said unfathomable.
No.
That's a
Do you
fish
mind if I
joke.
have it?
I do. He has it. And she'll point over to where Cal is. Cal and Clip are sort of standing off to the side here, and Cal is sort of darting his eyes back and forth, sort of looking
his
around.
eye holes.
His eye holes, as he looks in the skull, there's a little like clap clap, and Cal's like, well, I mean, you know what? And he starts like flipping his coin in the air, and he's like, this seems like a totally legit trade. Like, you guys just need water, right? And she goes, yes. And Cal looks at her and goes, perfect. And he flips the coin up into the air, and as he does, he catches it, puts it on his hand, and looks at it. Great. Then you, me, and Clip are gonna hang out right here. And when they come back, you get to go back in the water. Right, Clip? And Clip, like, walks over to where this lady is, and in front of the guards, and just sort of stands behind her. And as the mermaid sort of turns around and looks up and up at Clip, Clip like waves down at her. The woman sighs and goes, that seems acceptable. We will stay here with the two of them. Asphyxia, you will head off. And we will wait here. So do not tarry.
I feel way better now.
Yes, me too. All right.
Don't we all?
Yes, we do
You
actually.
don't
Thank you
look
for
like
asking.
You feel better. I mean,
Yeah, she doesn't look
Give me
very
an
happy
insight.
at all.
Give me an insight check. She does not feel better about this. No, she's a little pissed, but Cal looks pleased, and he goes, I'm going to sing some songs for you, and you're going to hate them. And so Cal just starts telling stories, and the guards are trying to be into it, and she waves you, Asphyxia, and the leash is released from you, dog, as you are released from the neck and sort of pushed forward into the trees.
Right.
And I immediately grab my canteen of water, pour it over my head, and then cast shape water to pull it through to get all the dirt off myself and pull it back in.
Short. He executes some strange magic as he takes this water, pours it on himself, and you're like, is he healing? Is he a strange magic? Is he healing? What is he doing? And he's dry cleaning. He's dry cleaning. Like all of the dirt is whisked from his clothing, his hands, and there's even as the water is whisked off into the ether.
And who might you be again?
Now my name's Edwin.
Edwin what?
Edwin?
Edwin Reynolds.
No.
Oh, like the rabbit?
No, it's not.
I'm not familiar with a rabbit.
How many of there are? It's fine. We should go.
We've met another,
A lot.
several Edwin Reynolds.
But not like
Um,
you.
This is
No.
another.
Well, no, there's nobody like
Understand,
me,
you and your
sweetie.
turtle have the same name.
Right.
Oh, there's a turtle, and there's
There's a moment where Slowpoke just goes, huh, and you almost feel like you hear like a tiny little turtle go, and
I'm glad you're not Edwin Reynolds.
everyone makes their way off into the woods.
We are leaving
Into the woods. Out of
the
the woods.
merfolk.
We are leaving the
And-
merfolk.
Cal, the skeleton guy, behind on the beach.
We are,
Okay.
unless you would like to have a moment with Cal.
I would like to shake his hand and say thank you for being so diplomatic
Okay.
before we go.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you hug Cal?
I do like a bro hug, like a pat on the back while I shake his hand. Shake his
Got
hand
it.
with a bro hug, pat on the back.
Okay, you guys watch as Asphyxia walks forward and gives him a little shake on the hand, and he's like, oh, okay, honey, we'll check it out. And gives a little like pat on the back, and Asphyxia sort of like comes back from this situation, like, go ahead and message me.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
And then she takes off into the forest. What's everybody's passive perception?
11. Wait, perception. Nope.
Okay.
That's 14.
14.
Way better than my normal perception usually is.
12.
12.
16.
16.
I'm better at
12.
seeing things that I'm not
12,
looking at.
13.
13. Thistle. It's weird that she hugged.
One of the group who's
One of the
staying.
group that's staying and not her own people.
Just want to be appreciative.
I was gonna ask her about
Well,
her crown
merfolk,
anyway.
that was, that's a more human behavior to do. The merfolk wouldn't expect me to hug them.
Yeah. I'd say
But skeletons
Yes.
wouldn't expect that either.
based on some freakishly high
Cool.
rolls, yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, then
So
we're ready to go.
Asphyxia makes her way off into the forest proper. What is my marching order as people make their way?
I'm
into
right
the
near Asphyxia. I want to ask her about her crown.
Sure. Thistle is right there, and Asphyxia, as you are walking,
I am in your bubble.
suddenly you feel the as if someone is drilling into you, and you look down, and Thistle's just kind of looking up. Thistle looks like this sort of dirty ragamuffin of a girl, and is following behind. Who's walking behind them?
I'm as far away from Thistle as I can possibly be.
I will follow behind him.
Okay, Edward is near the back of the pack.
So
I'm
I'm
following
at
the
the
back,
end.
back.
way back of the
Like
pack.
I'm the caboose.
You're the caboose.
I'm the
Got it.
caboose.
And
Well, I
you're
suppose
right-
that puts
you're
me in the
watching
middle.
Edwin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. With him, you are moving at double the speed through his favorite terrain, which is forest, which is
Right.
a great pull. While walking with him, you are moving at half the speed because he is not wanting to step on any dirt in a forest.
So we're moving at regular
So
speed.
you're moving at regular speed. You're not moving at like that magic pace that you seem to get anytime you walk in proximity to Slowpoke, because every time you get to a point where you're like, I think we're picking up some steam, you hear a, ew, what is that?
That's a tree.
Don't touch it.
Here's a
Cool.
That is also a tree.
Thistle,
Feel-
yeah, what do you say? What do you say to Asphyxia?
Your crown is creepy. Is it real?
Who's absolutely doing her best to ignore this small child and the staring and the walking and just gradually increasing pace as much as possible.
Asphyxia isn't paying attention to you, Thistle. How do you react to that?
I poke her in the belly. What's your crown made of? What died? Did you kill it?
So many things, and yes.
Can I wear it?
No.
Please?
No.
Is any this conversation is not being hidden, right?
No.
Okay. Cool. Thistle's just asking all sorts
Oh, I
of
need him to
questions.
stop to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stand right in front of him and go, because I saw what he did with the dirt, right?
Cool. She stops. Like, so you just sort of lead the way. Give me a D20, please, as you are trying to navigate your way. Get someone with 20 sides on it. Thank you for joining
Yeah,
us.
That's a 13.
Okay. Asphyxia seems to be plowing through the forest at a steady pace as she keeps moving and moving, and you don't know what she's looking for, but she seems to be studying the nature around her, picking up little like puddles of water. As she does, she places her hand in a small like sort of puddle that's collected by a tree. She closes her eyes, and then keeps walking in a new direction as she keeps heading further and further into the woods.
Knowing that I didn't recognize the Lost Boys and that was weird,
It is weird.
I'd like to see if anything else on the way where we're going seems off or different.
Sure. This would be an insight check, as you're just sort of trying to get your bearings in
Oh,
place.
that's correct.
Yeah.
No, but, well, that was a 8, even though it was cocked.
I'll roll it again.
Are you
If it was
sure?
cocked, yeah. Just
That's gonna be 15.
okay. You don't know. I mean, you're kind of doing self-assessment and
Right.
stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't seem any weird than if you were traveling with a murderous mermaid and a weird dog man. Like
He's
you're like
not a dog.
he's not a dog. He's not a dog.
Me.
Call him a dog. Yeah, Deacon Smith, we love you. Thanks for coming in.
He
so
looks like me but blue.
he does look like you, but blue.
I know.
You don't see anything weird. You don't know if you feel anything weird.
Okay.
Like you're you didn't recognize any of that crop.
Yeah.
So you were waiting to talk to him, Thistle?
Yes.
Thistle.
Because I saw him during this whole like, oh, I'm gonna clean up myself, I'm so dirty thing.
Thistle's talking to Asphyxia, and then Asphyxia is just like not doing anything to encourage this. So she goes, huh, and just plants herself. And as the group like walks by, everybody's like looking at her, and she's like waving, she's waving, she's waving, and then it gets to you, and you,
And I take as
step in front.
large as like to try to walk around
I
her.
want to stop him. I want to stop him wherever he is. Step in front.
Yep.
Hi.
Hello.
What happened to your shirt? And I cast
Would you
minor
close that
illusion. I cast minor illusion to make it look just the way it did, because I'm hoping he stops so I can get away with it. To make it look just like it did before he cleaned it up.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. You look down. She goes, "What's wrong with your shirt?" And you like look down, and unfortunately, it is just covered.
Did I see her put her hand up?
Probably.
Yes. Give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okay. Wisdom saving.
A wisdom saving throw,
Okay.
please.
Sorry. 11.
It does not matter that you saw her put her hand up. It does not matter that you heard her cast a spell.
Right.
There is some stuff on you.
I pull out my canteen, pour the water, do the whole thing again.
I'm maintaining the illusion so that nothing he does is going to do anything to it.
I'm just gonna keep the water running over me, and then when I realize, because eventually I would realize that her hand is up,
Yep.
I'm going to cast Primal Savagery on myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I think the group stops at this point as you're taking a walk forward, and then you realize that you are alone in the middle of the woods, and you're like, damn it. So you stop. You're away from the group, and you turn back. There is the scene unfolding as Thistle is making this stain sort of appear, and he tries to wipe it off, and tries to wipe it off. And this man wearing the suit unbuttons the button, rolls up the sleeves,
I'm gonna fly up. Just in case.
okay, rolls up the sleeves, looks at her, and never responds. The sticks in the ground begin to shake and fly towards him and affix onto his hands. It's almost like they go whoosh, and a couple of sticks on the ground also go up, flying up, and go and attach to his hand. And as that happens, all of the dirt in the area immediately just like jumps up and plasters itself all over his body, causing these horns to sort of grow longer as if the earth is growing over them. And he goes,
You will stop that now.
give me an intimidation check, please, at advantage.
Oh,
Nice.
not that
That
one.
it hairs.
7.
He screams at you, and he looks fierce. You're flying in the air. You're still a ways back, and I don't know if you would. It's up to you whether you anticipate here.
So Rebecca.
No.
No, you're gonna see how this plays out.
I'll stand behind a tree and just kind of like.
I just imagine you being like, "This could go bad."
Let's watch.
Snack break.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I say, that was a cool trick. I can do cool tricks too.
Oh God.
And so I'm going to cast 2 cantrips, one right after the other. The first is Thaumaturgy. I'm going to
Okay.
make my eyes flash like fiery.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be like, and then the second one is the second is Thaumaturgy.
Okay.
So I'm going to make my voice boom 3 times as loud as normal, and I'm going to go, I can do cool tricks too.
This wall of sound echoes out into the woods as all of the birds in the area and all the trees sort of like take off and at this standstill. Even you who are a little ways back, the two of you like sort of recoil from this yell from this tiny girl as the two of them are just sort of like staring off at one another.
I just take my canteen of water, pour it on her head, cast shape water, and clean her.
As you are frozen and trying to be as scary as possible, it's a water. You are at the cleanest you have ever been in Neverland. That's all.
That's gross.
All you
You're
hear
bad at
is
playing,
me
and I walk
laughing
away.
hysterically.
God.
Well, luckily we have no known enemies that we should be not yelling in the middle of the woods from.
Funny
Nice.
you should say that.
Nice.
Everybody give me perception checks, as Thistle has just made this position on the island, and everyone is aware of where everyone is.
22.
Roll a d20 for me.
That's 9?
A 9.
22.
Yeah.
22.
19.
19.
16.
16.
Perception?
Perception.
10.
14.
14.
10.
You two. You two hear it first. It's like the insects around the area stop. The wind stops. And everything gets quiet. It's the middle of the day. The sun is shining. And everything just stops. You guys are just sort of a little flabbergasted by what just happened and sort of paying attention, but you two notice that wildlife has left the building.
I'm just worried about his wasting of water. Just tons of it.
Well,
Just
no,
so
the
much.
water goes right back into my canteen. I'm using the same
did
water
we hear
every
it
time.
like disperse, or did it just shut down?
Everything, everything shut down. It's almost like you crickets, wildlife, the ambient sounds of Neverland.
I want to take a scan to see if I see anything to make this stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we see any animals or anything? Do we like see the
Here's the
wind?
deal: you don't see any wildlife.
Okay.
No squirrels. No, like
So is
normally
it
you'll
like they
see.
scampered away, or did they just disappear?
I would say you got the higher one. Who got the
22.
20? It's not like they scampered. It's like they were never there. This is anti-nature. Like there wasn't the sound of running. There wasn't the sound of like things crawling in trees and into burrows. It was just like nature was here, and now nature ain't here.
Do you guys relay any of this to any of us?
Because I was gonna take a scan to see if I noticed anything else.
Sure.
Do I notice her noticing things?
The two of you just start scanning the area.
Yeah.
Give me investigation checks as you're looking for something. You don't know what it is. As you're
I'm not gonna make it.
13.
Investigation.
Yeah.
5.
You place your hands on the tree and you're just sort of trying to sense the surroundings and stuff
This
like that.
tree is here.
As you hear, you're like, okay, what's happening?
That's alive.
That's alive. That plant life and stuff like that is fine. That's when you feel the rumbling under your feet.
Well, I wouldn't. I'm in there.
No, oh, then you're right.
Um,
Everything is great. Everything's fine. Everything's awesome.
Would I notice them
You
looking?
would feel it off the tree, even with your
Okay.
5. It just takes you longer. By the time you feel it, it feels
Would I
real,
notice?
real close.
Would I notice like the trees
Nope.
shaking at all? Okay.
It's subterranean
Got
little
it.
like tremors and
Okay.
things of that sort.
Does it feel, well, probably not with 5, but like it's coming from a specific place? Like, does it have a rhythm to it, or is it just everywhere?
Everywhere.
Because I would have stopped laughing,
Right. Okay.
so it would have been abrupt.
You guys watch as
So-
Desbahai gets real quiet and like it's like looking down at the ground.
Mhm.
At-
I do the entire like listening to
you hear like earth being moved and shaken and pushed out of the way.
Based off Slowpoke's backstory, he got a 16. When things start getting closer, is this anything familiar to his particular like subsection
Actually,
of
you haven't
being?
gotten a thing today? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
For some reason, you harken back to a time where it was you and a couple of other kids, and you're in the room. You're in this like clearing, and you were playing a familiar game. You were playing Florida's Lava.
Yeah.
You jump from tree to tree. It's a common game that every kid knows. The floor is lava. You don't step on the floor. And so one of the kids is like running towards this rock, slips on the rock, falls off the rock, and hits the ground. And Peter flips. Peter flies over, grabs the kid by the collar, and as he grabs the kid by the collar, there is as something tries to grab this kid's foot. But Peter picks him up by the collar and holds him up above the ground. And he says, "What's the game?" And the kid goes, "Floor is lava." "We don't touch the floor, do we?" He goes, "No." That rumbling is loud enough now that everybody hears it.
I immediately yell for everyone to get off the ground.
Floor is lava.
Floor is lava.
You're up in the air.
Oh, I know floors.
I acrobats up into the tree.
Give me an acrobatics check. What are you doing?
Climbing a tree myself.
16.
Okay, 16. You managed to climb over to a tree. Acrobatics check or athletics check. Each one of you, depending on what you want to do. These are
My legs don't work good.
no. Yeah.
Wait, no. Yeah, no, that's fine.
19.
19. She just runs up a tree. Like she goes over to where the tree is. She's not climbing. She's just whoop, just vertically walks up the tree. Freaking monks.
Cool. I want to get behind branches so I'm not being seen.
Okay.
Like just
Give me a
so-
stealth check. You give me this check at disadvantage. You're gonna roll a d20 and give me the lowest of the two.
Yeah, okay. That's a 6.
You seem like you're hidden.
Okay, good.
I try to find a rock to
Okay.
climb up on, and I would brush it off first, and then step up on it. I got a 13.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you managed to find a big rock. Thistle.
I got a 19.
Okay.
It's gonna be a dozen.
A dozen. Okay, perfect. You managed to climb up on the same rock that Edwin
With
is
some,
up on.
with a little help,
A
probably.
little bit of
Yes,
help as
yeah.
you sort of climb up. As you do, there was a brief pause as in the center area where you guys were all standing, a gaping maw reaches forward, manages to push aside the dirt as this set of teeth. It almost looks like a shark that seems to rip open the ground. A land shark. as it digs through. As it does, these two stalks seem to be rising out of the head a little bit and sort of moving in the air, almost like a snail, and sort of listening in the air. What are we doing?
I want to cast Firebolt on it.
Okay. What is this a save? Is this is dex save? Is this an attack?
Is it attack?
Give me an attack roll.
Oh wait, wait, sorry. My brain. 15.
You send this fireball, roll damage as if 15 hits.
1.
1. This fireball is fired down from the trees at an angle, and as it does, it goes streaking down, and everybody sees this fireball descending from the heavens and hit this thing where the antenna are. There is a as it crawls out of the ground even more. It's about the size of an alligator. Okay, it's all pale, pink skin. These two antennas and this teeth out of the ground. It almost looks like a slug or a snail from hell. As this thing, and just sort of looking around as the antennae are moving. You don't see any eyes of any kind as the antennae are darting from which direction. It seems to be pointed upwards towards where it's heard the sound of the fire.
Was your tree close to my tree? Are we in the same
She's
tree?
floating high above you.
Yeah, I'm above
Okay.
everybody.
I think you're a little separate.
I'm just gesturing for everyone.
There's a pause. This thing continues to crawl on the ground for a little bit, scooting around, and it gets close to where the rock is, where you two are.
I send message and I say, what are we waiting for?
Ground to stop being lava.
I'm generally unhelpful and letting my guides take care of the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
It starts to creep up towards the rock where you two are.
I'm gonna cast this spell that the only lost boy I ever got along with, Nasarag, taught me, called Guiding Bolt.
Okay.
It was his favorite spell.
Give me an attack roll as thank you Sylvia84 for the birthday wishes. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Sylvia.
As a guiding bolt flies forth from your hand, this divine light issues forth from Thistle and hits this thing as it's about to climb on the rock and get a little close to where you are.
That's a 20 to hit.
20 hits, roll damage. This thing lights up like a Christmas tree. Okay, it is brilliant, it is blazing, and you think that, like, if you wanted to hit it, now would be the time to hit it, as it's
That is
there.
11 points of damage.
Would you like to do that?
Is it necessary? Am
It's-
I okay?
It's next to you. This thing looks beat to hell. After that hit, what was your damage again?
It was 11 points.
11
Radiant damage.
Plus your 1. It looks beat to hell.
Then I'm just gonna kind of observe.
Am
Okay.
is my primal savagery still in effect?
Sure, I'll say yes.
Okay, I'll take a slash at it with
Give me an attack.
the acid.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'd be at advantage too.
This would be an added advantage after the guiding bolt. As Edwin
Well.
steps in front of you, Asphyxia, as this thing gets close, Edwin steps in front and takes a swipe at this thing with the claws. And it's not a like, it's a
12.
a 12 to hit.
Yeah.
It does not have a very
Yeah.
high AC. No,
Okay.
roll damage for me.
2 points of acid damage.
Cool. This thing flips over onto its back, letting out this as the tongue sort of drops out of its mouth, and it rolls on its back, what you think, and it's just laying there on the rock next to you all.
Would Slowpoke know if these things usually fly solo, if they're...
Give me a history check.
No, it's like a 10.
You don't know, pal. I mean, you remember this memory, and there's something nagging at you at the back of your head, but there's a brief moment where you're kind of staring at the body of this thing, and then nature kicks back on. It's almost like the birds start chirping again. Like some of the insects around the area start going off like a little humming bird sort of flies past everyone.
Would
Yeah,
I
fly back
recognize
down.
this creature?
Give me a history check.
12.
Yeah, you would recognize this. Is your nature higher?
Same.
Same?
Yeah.
You remember these as like the kids called it the Florida's lava. Like that's how they associated this with the creature. However, when you associated this with the creature, there's a reason why a lot of the villages that were set up by all the people of Neverland are in the Never Tree, in the tree house, on the water. Like this thing would go, and if you heard it coming, everyone just had to either be really, really quiet, and if you're a child, that's almost impossible, or jump from tree to tree, jump from rock to rock. But your people just avoided it because you didn't want to. I mean, you could hunt it, but the meat wasn't good. Like the skin you couldn't really use for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stalks were used for alchemical purposes or potion making, but there was no reason. It was best just to ignore it and let it hunt what it wanted to hunt.
Predator's gonna predate.
Predator's gonna predate. Predator's gonna hey. Yeah, so you just kind of let it go.
I fly back down at this point, just so you know.
You're with the group.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would pull out my Staff of the Woodlands
Okay.
and just kind of take a look at it and put the staff in the ground next to it and burn 2 charges to locate animals to see if there's any more of them within a 5-mile radius.
Okay. What does your Staff of the Woodlands look like?
It is not at all like what you would think this would look like. It is a silver staff that just has a little bit of leaf inlay on it.
Give me percentile dice.
$34.
Not within 5 miles.
Not within 5 miles.
So this thing is not dead yet?
No, it's dead.
It's dead.
He
Okay.
tried to locate if it had
If
any
it had
brothers or
more,
sisters.
okay.
I acrobats out of the tree.
Okay.
And that would be a 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
You kind of do the hero three-point landing, like the 2 legs and then.
Bam.
Yeah.
And then I draw my axe. How hard do the stalks look?
Not that hard. Fleshy.
Not that hard. I chop through them.
Yeah.
Carry them with the cape.
In a really quick and sudden movement, like the older-looking female in the group who used to have wisp of gray and white through her hair, but now has just sort of a lightish black-haired color, walks over and with an axe just very cleanly cuts off 2 of those stalks.
Ew, what do you use those for?
Things.
Things?
Yes.
Just things? I want to know.
Animals can be used for specific things.
I didn't know you could use Bill for anything.
Should we keep moving?
Yes, we should be on it.
I guess I'm starting to look pretty impatient over here. Yeah, we're trying to get somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Asphyxia keeps walking. By this point in the evening, it is after this battle and after a night of walking, you realize that you're close. You're not that close. You realize that based on you being unfamiliar with the territory, as night begins to fall, this might be a good time to set up and rest as the sun begins to set on Neverland. Anybody, give me a survival check to scope out a camping spot. It's 16.
Ooh, nat 20.
Nat 20.
22.
Yeah. You two, I think with each other's help, like you utilizing abilities, you find this sort of secluded grove area, and you make sure that there is a rock bottom to it, to make sure that there is no area that's sort of set up. We have a campfire going. What is my watch schedule?
I want to watch with her, or near her, or be near her.
I want to
wherever
only
she
watch.
is.
I am not going to sleep. I am
Okay.
going to only
If
watch.
you do not sleep, every roll that you make, you will be exhausted. So what that means is every roll that's a skill check, like if you're trying to be stealthy, if you're trying to be deceiving, it's going to be a
Right.
disadvantage because you're so sleepy.
Okay, I'll take a sleep shift.
I'll take watch with him.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
3.
Cool.
That means we're together.
That means you're together. Thistle and Asphyxia. You begin your watch. I need.
I'm watching in a particular way.
How
As
you-
our watch begins, I'm going to cast, because I haven't slept yet. We're on first watch, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to disguise self as like a mini me. I have a crown too. So basically, just so that you know, it means that I can look just like you, but I'm gonna be shorter because I can only make myself seem a foot shorter or taller. So I'm just gonna be my height, but look just like you. But like I'll have the crown and everything. But if you were to like touch it or anything, your hand would go right through it.
Does
It's
that answer
illusion.
your question?
Does this spell involve any sort of observation of my person?
It couldn't hurt.
Her spell of me
Yes.
requires a check of my person.
Yes,
Yes.
it makes me like I have to look at you to copy, so it's as close as
Yes.
I can to what you look
So
like.
how strong an observation is that? Would she catch anything or?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's just sort of staring at you, and then all of a sudden you look over at her, and you're sitting by the fire. And I think there's a moment where you're sort of scanning the horizon, and you look over at her, and she's
Me,
you're
but
looking,
smaller.
She's looking
Yeah.
like you, but just smaller, shorter.
Yeah, and she has all the parts right.
All the parts that are seen.
So I would kind of check my crown to make sure that it
crown's
was
still
there.
there.
Hmm.
You know, just check everything
It's
everywhere.
it's also still there.
It's all everything is still there.
Yeah.
Check my pockets.
She
and
starts
stuff.
she starts going like this, and just sort of like
Yeah.
very visibly like.
You thought I took your stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't take your stuff.
And that is a really neat trick. Is that just a natural, intrinsic ability of yours?
It is a natural trickstick ability.
You're very talented.
Thank you. I know.
Yes. You got me down to a T. But a little short.
Well, that's because I'm already shorter than you.
So why can't you be as tall as me?
How tall is she?
A little taller than average.
So like 5'6" or so. I could actually.
5'6" is actually average in real life, Tracy, but
You're like 5'6". Well,
So
no,
she's
because
like-
I'm trying to think because I can only go 1
She's
foot taller.
5'9".
yeah.
She's 5'9".
Yeah.
Okay, and I think I'm a little bit too short. I can't remember. I think I'm like 4'6". So I will recast I will recast disguise self because I don't think I can change myself mid.
Sure.
To make myself as tall as I possibly can, which will probably be about 3 inches shy of her height.
She drops concentration on the spell, and as she does, you see that she's got a simple bag. She's got a book with her. She's got a small coin purse. She's got just random knickknacks and things strewn, like sort of hooked on a belt to her.
Okay. So
Um,
I'm going to walk over. How far away am I?
You're really close. You're about
I'm gonna walk over and I'm going to give her a very close look and observation and kind of like walk around her in a circle, just checking
Give
out,
me a D20.
checking out how good the copy is, just to see.
Yep, give me a D20.
It's a 2.
So she's walking around you, and as she's walking around you, you feel a hand start to graze towards where your belt is and some of your items are on your person. As it's just like lingering fingertips that seem to be like, as she's walking behind you, it looks like she's trying to like examine the appearance, but like a tiny hand, very nimbly, looks like it's coming around and grazing your where your pack is.
All right, so as she's doing that, I'm going to keep circling. I'm going to use Mage Hand, because it's
Okay.
a cantrip and it's not concentration based.
Okay.
My other spell is concentration. No, actually, it's not concentration based. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to use Mage Hand to reach up and tug on her crown and then let go and look in a challenging way towards her.
As you're sort of walking around, you're paying attention to her and just sort of like staring at her person, and then all of a sudden there is this surge of panic that rushes through your body as the crown begins to lift off your head a little bit, and as you grab and hold onto it and look up, there is a spectral blue hand that's floating in the air, and Thistle's like staring at you, but now she looks like you and she's taller, but she's giving you the same sort of smile like that Thistle gave, but just exactly as you.
That would be really disconcerting. Okay, so I am good, but almost lost some things, and I find you very talented and shockingly much better looking than before.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're interesting.
I need perception checks. If you are watching the camp,
Oh, gosh, no.
if,
I should be, but I'm not.
Okay.
And I rolled really high, too, so I'm very disappointed that I'm not.
you might be even more disappointed.
I know. I rolled, like, really
No
high.
one notices the silky black cat wander through the camp. It walks right behind Thistle and over to where Eris is sleeping and like licks the blanket of where she's at, and like these two are just sort of staring at each other, and I want you to picture this in a movie of like these two staring at each other, but in the background this cat walking by and like sleeping with Eris, like cuddled up with her. And right before the watch is over, the cat like gets up, like, stretches its back, and just walks off into the night.
Who dat cat?
That cat.
Your watch is ended. Let's go to the second watch. I need perception checks. As you rest, you can mark down a long rest. I'll mark down a long rest on your character sheet. You two do a perception check.
14.
18.
Okay, cool. Night goes uneventful.
I haven't introduced myself.
You are correct.
Eris.
I will grab a cloth and shake her hand using the cloth.
Okay. Well, I don't want this to be offensive, but what are you?
What am I? Well, bless your heart.
Well, 'cause you look like me. Kind of. I mean, minus the skin tone and the wings.
Right. Tiefling?
You probably should know. I didn't look like this like a day ago. So I'm
Oh, is it one of the dirty one's tricks?
When he says tiefling,
mhm.
it doesn't sound like tiefling. When he says tiefling,
Yeah.
you hear Hillary would recognize this as static. Oh, you mean a...
Would you say that one more time?
Are you hard of hearing? I said tiefling.
I guess I don't know the word.
Okay. Now, you said you didn't look like this before. Now, what does that mean?
I was a 4-inch pixie with really crappy wings.
Pixies.
Yeah.
Filthy little creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the worst.
They are pretty awful. But you can get one in a bottle with water and shake them real hard. They come out real clean.
Oh my god, can you? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Do they like?
Your watch is uncomfortable, but it continues on with nothing sort of breaking in or anything like that. Let's go to the third watch of the night. You
This
two.
is going splendid.
This is going as well as I expected
good.
to go. Desbahai and Slowpoke. If one of you wants to give the other one an advantage when it comes to perception check, or you can both take one as you maintain.
Advantage. And can I spend my free time with it? Remember when I took the leather from that one creature?
I do.
I'm gonna finally do something with it and
Cool.
just like make it into a thing.
Do you have, I think you have the tools, correct?
I do have the
Do you have a
tools.
proficiency in sort of tanning or leatherworking or anything? Look under proficiencies under there and
If I can
and
find proficiencies on here, then.
just let's see if you don't have
She
a
has,
tool set,
it's
that's okay.
wood carver's tools.
I have
Proficiency. Why don't we retroactively, because I think I don't know if you would be much of a wood carver. We'll change it in
I
D&D.
whittle.
You whittle a little bit?
Yeah, I whittle.
Would you rather have a proficiency in leather work
I
and
would,
tanning?
yeah.
Okay, so we will change that, okay?
Okay.
But yes, so now add a D20, add your dex or sleight of hand if that is better, and
Okay.
add proficiency to it as you're using those tools.
Okay. D20 4 plus 5 plus the proficiency
Yeah.
bonus. Wait, hang on. 4 plus 3.
Yeah, so
There it is. Plus 2.
Yeah.
4 plus
9.
3 plus 2, 9.
yeah, so basically you get the preliminary stuff done.
I don't want
It-
it to look pretty. So.
It was rank. This thing was like, because it's been a couple of days like traveling in the dungeon where they still have blood and viscera on it.
Yeah.
You managed to clean it, but like you're not watching during your watch. You're just like, you got this, right, buddy? And like you just spend time cleaning it off, using the fire to dry parts of it, and sort of lay it out so that the moonlight kind of soaks into it. But
Cool.
you have a it's decent. It looks like it's a workable material now, rather than just like I found animal carcass. Like
Yeah.
you've got workable things.
Okay,
now.
okay, and with the time that I'm spending leaving it in the moonlight, can I also spend that time researching my potion book?
You can read a
little
couple
bit,
hours.
A little bit?
2
Okay,
hours.
2 hours.
Okay.
Cool.
So not at advantage.
Not at advantage. Regular.
Oh, that's fine. Well, 19.
Middle of the night, she's sort of paying attention to this book. She does not notice as a small child walks into the clearing and peeks around the corner and sees you and puts a finger up to its mouth. It's dressed in a wolf fur. It's got a little like hood on. Doesn't look like a lost boy. Doesn't look like a never boy. Are you quiet? Yep. And he will put a small wrapped parcel behind where Desbahai is and nod in your direction. And as he does, he will look past you. When you turn around to look at what he's looking at, when you turn back,
He's gone. Ah.
Ah, come on. But Des, in the morning, you have another parcel. This figurine is a little different, okay? This figurine is you. Yes,
Okay.
okay?
It's just a little wooden one.
Little wooden figurine of you,
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
okay?
Thank you.
Yep. So you guys spend the night. The watch is over. Everybody mark down a long rest. You realize that you were about a half day's journey away. As you start to spend more and more time, the water around the area gets a little saltier, even as you're moving further and further inland. And you know that means that you're on the right track. We will fast track ahead as you get closer and closer. After a little bit of time, you find yourselves at the cave entrance. It is a large cave that seems to have been blocked by years and years of overgrowth. Leaves and even small like trees and sort of prickly bushes have grown up alongside of this, and there's a small opening just barely big enough for Edwin to fit through. He's going to be pushing the limits. If Clip was here, she wouldn't be able to get in. Like, that's how small this sort of opening is. You'll be fine, everybody else will be fine, but Edwin, you're really going to have to squeeze through here. It's a small circular opening carved into this, what looks to be like stone foundation. Do you lead the way?
Yeah, almost like this used to be underwater and it's not now.
You could say that.
Okay. Yes, so I lead the way, and the inside.
It's dark, gang. It's real dark. You are fine as something that you have on you clicks into gear, which is confusing to you because it shouldn't be clicking into gear, but it does. And you go, oh, okay. And everybody else who does not have dark vision,
I can cast light.
do you cast light?
I do cast light.
You all climb into this dark area. You're crawling through this small hole. You start to look around even before Thistle gets in and casts light. As she casts light, what are you casting light on, Thistle?
I love, Cal is not here. So what I'm gonna do is, because I dropped the illusion on myself. So I'm gonna cast it on my hand.
Okay.
So that I can be like.
Light pours forth from her hand. And as she does, she shows you this place that has not seen light in a long time. It is a circular chamber, long overgrown with what looks to be seaweed coming out of this circular pool of water. Surrounding this pool of water are a variety of odd-looking items that do not belong here. I say this in terms of you find bones, but you find bones arranged in such a manner that it's like animal bones, human skull, like somebody was playing. You also find random toys and items. You find the masthead of a ship in this small area. Scattered throughout the space are random knickknacks, bits of pottery, bits of wood, old discarded weapons, bones arranged in odd manners, sort of surrounding this pool of water, which seems to be untouched. But everything else around the area looks anachronistic. You're finding strange items that you all have never seen in your entire life, except for you. You find an iPhone, drained of battery, leaning up against a wall. You find a stuffed elephant, sort of like leaning against one side, on its side, and as you get close to it, Thistle walks over to it, and as she squeezes it, the eyes light up a little bit, and there's this odd sound. There are random items scattered all over the place. What are we doing?
I'm gonna ask.
I would
Where?
say that at this point I'm walking around the pool, looking at the items and kind of looking like I am looking for a specific place or thing.
Give me a D20, please, Asphyxia, as you are looking for a particular item hidden amidst the chaos.
Can I roll for perception to see if we're like alone in here?
Sure, give me a perception check.
14?
You look around the space, and as you start kicking things off to the side, the only thing that frightens you is as you get to a certain point in the cave, the stone that you crawled in through, you all of a sudden kick something off to the side, and as you do, your foot hits dirt. The rock stops.
Okay.
Like there's no more rock. It looks like You get a little ways in, like 5 feet in, and the remaining 15 feet leading up to this pool of water is all dirt.
Is it like sandy dirt, or is it like foresty dirt?
It's foresty dirt.
Okay. Sounds good.
What did you?
17.
It's 17. You find it. You find a spyglass inscribed with archaic runes, and it looks like there's a mermaid crudely drawn on the side of it. As you walk over towards the pool, you have it in your hands.
And I have the last thing that I need. And do I need to enter the pool?
Asphyxia is walking towards the pool of water. She reaches down at her side, picks up something off of the ground, and looks at the pool of water and begins to step over the trash and refuse towards the pool of water.
Edwin would follow her
Okay.
until he got to the water's edge, and then he would not.
I will want to investigate the walls, see if there's any markings or anything.
Give me an investigation check. Would anybody like to assist in this manner as you guys watch as Eris starts tracing hands along the wall?
Investigation, right?
Investigation?
I'll
I'll assist.
assist. Are the, go ahead, yeah. Are
Okay.
these walls climbable at all? To get to a higher point?
They're slick. There's like a humidity in the air. There's a wetness to the walls itself. What did you get?
An 18.
So if you're gonna
Yeah.
assist, she can roll at advantage.
Oh, shoot.
As you start like searching around. So give me
Yeah, that's better. So 17.
no drawings. No. Like
Markings, anything.
as you start scraping off some of it, you do catch some divots in the wall, as if something came by and was like into the stone itself, like
Okay.
scraped along the sides.
I think I'm gonna cast Primeval Awareness to see if there's any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead present within a mile of me.
There is a fiend within a mile of you. Straight down.
It says I don't know their location.
Yeah,
Oh, but I. Okay.
yeah. There's a fiend within 1 mile of you.
Cool.
While they're searching around, because she's walking towards the water, because I'm kind of over by the walls, I want to, because it's a 1 minute spell, or 1
Yeah.
minute whatever, I want to cast Augury.
Okay.
So,
This is too good not to do.
so I'm gonna have to grab somebody's hair. Who's the closest to me? I have to have a piece of
Probably
hair.
me.
Probably.
Oh, I took yours last time, didn't I? Well,
What?
I'm gonna go up to him and I'm gonna grab
Ah,
a piece of
this
hair.
is-
Same patch. Like it's just like around in a little bit, and there's a.
You could have just saved it from last time. Right. Never mind.
That's not how
Okay,
magic works.
and I'm gonna go over to
That's
the
not how the
corner
force works.
and grab a little splash of mud and spit in it and grab some pebbles and throw it down. And I'm asking if it's a good idea for her to go into the water
Usually
for us.
there is a process. There is a process as this little like figure walks into the space. This time she comes tearing into the space, and she looks over and she looks over at her, and she's like, "This ain't a good idea." And as she goes, "This ain't a good idea," Asphyxia walks over, takes the telescope, and breaks it in half, and drops it into the pool. Is anything else being dropped into the pool?
Yes.
Okay. She reaches into her pack.
And retrieves a very small and possibly familiar looking bone from my pocket. And drop that.
Once she
Doesn't
says no,
count.
I'm trying to stop her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a contested dex check as
Okay.
she breaks the telescope. You get the word of like no, and then as she says that, there's this move where you go tearing across the side, and as she drops it, you take your hand and try to go like this. You're each gonna roll a d20. Okay.
Got my
What is
spell.
your dex?
My dex is,
I wanted to.
it's just a straight up dex.
It is just
It's
a
+2.
Okay, so she's at a +3. You're gonna add a 2 to yours. You're gonna add a 3 to yours. Okay. And there is a
Ooh,
drop.
Wolf, I'm getting your die.
Drop, bone, falling through the air. Thistle goes running forward, hand outstretched, and as she does, she sticks her hand forward and
8.
6.
it's so close. It's so close that she drops, and it looks like she's going to miss it. Like there's like a little bit of movement as Thistle dives forward, and as Thistle dives forward, the bone looks like it's going to touch the water, and Thistle's like, I'm not going to make it. Mage hand. Over her hand, reaches forward and grabs it, and just before it touches the water, it is now dangling in the air in front of you, holding the small pinky bone up.
I am moving the mage hand as far away from her as I can
It
and
moves-
saying, "What are you doing?"
It moves 30 feet away. You are standing in front of the water, and she is holding this thing. What are you doing?
You would not have caught that if it wasn't your birthday.
Oh,
Ice. I stare like this is absolutely what I have to do with my life, and in this moment, give it back to me right now.
I just want to know what you're doing.
I absolutely will try
Everybody's
to take
gathering around at this point.
I think
are we
Bo's ready. Like, to...
Bo's out. Like key points prepped. Like
Is that Cal's?
Who's Cal?
Don't, no, don't play stupid. You're not
Give-
stupid,
give
and
me
I
a
know
D-
you're not
Give me a
stupid.
D20.
I'm so sorry, it's really hard to keep everyone's names straight.
Give me a D20.
17.
3.
No, she knows what Cal is.
What
Is, yeah,
are you doing?
answer that first.
Answer which question first?
What are you doing?
What am I doing? A spell that I was brought here to perform by you, which you were paid for the task.
Why are you using Cal's finger?
He didn't need it.
Yes, he did. Why don't we go ask him? We can take his finger back and ask if he needed it.
He has so many more. And he's so far away.
Oh, you want to give me one of your fingers?
Interesting question.
If you're gonna decide, do it.
I would very much like that back, please.
I would very much like to know what you're doing, please.
What's it worth to you?
The bow's raised at this
The
point.
bow is okay. So the bow is ready. She's got.
It went from like down to like.
Where are you standing?
I'm standing at the edge of the water.
So the only one who hasn't chosen a side is Edwin. Everybody else is backing the girl. Edwin is standing at the edge of the water and looking in. So I will give you a perception check.
Oh, no.
19, I believe.
Edwin, you remember that worm? You remember it?
Yeah.
So there was a bigger one coming. Apparently, it wasn't looking for any brothers or sisters. It was looking for mom,
Great.
and mom has managed to track where you guys are.
Okay. So whatever y'all are gonna do, y'all should probably do that real fast.
Why? What's happening?
That thing.
Edwin points down, and through the water, you see water start to sort of seep up over the rim of it as water starts pouring out over the ground, and as it does, it's washing some of these things backwards.
As that happens, I think 2 and 2 kind of connect, and I say,
Yeah.
"There's a fiend on its way." I know that for a fact.
You have each of you has 6 seconds to do whatever you would like
Floor is
to
lava.
Fly straight up!
do.
Up on the mast.
Floor is lava. Up on the mast of the ship.
And I drop the stalks
Okay.
out of my bag.
Drop the stocks on the
I
ground.
use the Never Hurts fly.
Yep. Okay. What happy thought do you think about?
How much fun not being on the floor is right now.
I'm being like, we very happy.
Oh, those are your horses. You
Yeah.
can fly with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot. Thank
Yes.
you. Fly.
Okay. What do you think about?
I'm thinking about the fact that the Never Boys are back, and I'm gonna get to see them as soon as I can find them.
Okay. You start flying above the air. You start flying in the air. Give me an acrobatics check. You do not have any of these items. You are floating. What are you doing?
I'm gonna start running towards the wall.
You would need time to attune. to
Yeah,
it.
I would.
I am attuned. Oh,
No,
he would.
I would
Just
have to be
kidding.
able to
Would.
attune.
It's okay. You said there's 6 seconds.
People start taking off.
I see him running. I cast levitate on him.
Foom.
Oh, nice.
You're just a couple of inches above the ground.
I would assume I jump in the water.
You're jumping in the water. You
That's
can have
pretty much
one.
my only option, right?
You can have one. It's not 2 because you didn't do it unless you want to do something else. You have 6 seconds enough to do your own. You can have one or one if you just jump in the water.
I can have one. I can do the spell, or I can jump in the water.
No, you can have one aspect of the
Yeah,
spell
yeah.
that helps you, or the aspect that helps your people.
Spell first.
The one that helps you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just realized both are concentration. I can only do one at a time.
Great. So as you go, levitate. Gotcha.
Then I fall. Yes.
And he is standing. Slowpoke is standing on the
Good.
ground.
No,
I
that's
got
worked.
a 15. If he's anywhere nearby, can I just like yoink him up?
I'm not nearby.
He's
I'm
not
on the ground.
He's. It's too good. As you go,
Yeah.
like, oh no, wait, come back. You jump in the water.
Yeah.
As you jump in the water, the healing energies of the water begin to surround you, and as this being comes up, there is a sound of, "Where is the sacrifice?"
I don't wait. I fire the arrow.
It's still in the water. She's floating above the water.
I fire the arrow at her.
In the water?
Is she in the water?
She is in
Can
the
I get her?
You can certainly try. Give me an attack roll.
Oh no.
Nat turtle.
Oh!
Roll damage.
No.
You hear, "Where is my sacrifice?"
Oh no.
No, it's just these two.
I would say I would shout and scream really desperately at
13.
Thistle to give me the bone or throw it in the
13.
water.
13 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, "Where is?" He goes, "Where is my sacrifice?" And you're like, "Little one, throw me the." An arrow cascades through your back and out the other side, like through there. And as your blood begins to pour into the water,
The voice says, "There it is."
the
What?
voice
Oh.
says, "Sacrifice accepted."
Oh! Remember that time you killed my sister?
On your birthday? Hey, Tracy, I didn't get your birthday present. You know the whole sibling rivalry.
As
Is this all about that finger bone? It wasn't even you.
Asphyxia, you don't feel hurt at all. You feel great. And you're looking around this area, and you are almost seeing through like 27 or 28 different pairs of eyes as you climb out of the water, and Asphyxia looks forward to where you are, and her eyes are just a pale white. And she looks over to where you are, and as she cocks her head, the worm also comes out of the water and cocks its head to the side. And she smiles. What would you like to do, Asphyxia?
Can I attack all of them at the same time?
Everybody roll initiative, please.
Oh no!
You're going to roll a d20 for me, and that'll determine the order. As Asphyxia, I didn't think it was going to go this way, but it went this way. Asphyxia is now in complete and total control of the tremors underneath Neverland. 20 to 25.
Oh, remember that time my sister
Oh, no.
killed me?
Sorry.
Yeah.
And everyone
No,
else?
20 to 25.
No.
In my
What did you
defense. Oops.
2. You're probably gonna close this out. 20 to 15.
17.
17.
Also 17.
Also 17. You two roll off.
15.
11.
Eris, you are up first,
I'm 8.
followed by Edwin. You may take movements here, or you can issue a set of directions. So you can either control exactly where this thing attacks, which would give it advantage on an attack, like if you're hyper focalizing on one person,
Yep.
or you can just give it a general set of directions and it takes its own initiative and stuff like that. Okay, does that make sense?
I'm gonna say that there's some leftover corporeal anger happening
I
there.
was kind of hoping that you would say that. Okay, so that's 20 to 15. 15 to 10. Yep,
12.
12.
Wait, no, sorry.
Des, that will put you third in the initiative order. 10 to 5.
9.
8.
9. Slowpoke,
Yep.
Thistle, followed by Asphyxia. Eris.
You remember that fairy fire I got?
I do remember.
We're
that.
gonna use one of them.
Where?
Huh?
Where?
On the...
One or the other.
Let's do creature.
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 And you guys watch as Eris flies over and she reaches down. How many did I give you?
You gave me 2.
Okay. She takes a valued piece of
Yep, 2.
of fairy dust, and as she sprinkles this fairy dust over the creature flying over it, it is this damn firefly from hell. As she flies over this thing, and with her demonic wings flapping, she pours the pixie dust over it, and the creature begins to sort of wave back and forth. She about 20 feet in the air as she does this, like it's a big cave. So she's going over and she's pouring a dust over the worm. The worm starts to glow. For the time being, the worm is completely covered in a dust that will make it glow and makes all attacks against it at advantage. Okay? That is your move. That is your action as well. Would you like to do anything with your bonus action?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
She's flying above where the worm's sort of head and body are. Edwin.
I was like on my way to the cave wall, but now I'm sure I've turned around. I'm still levitating.
Sure.
Yeah?
You're a couple of inches off the ground.
Yeah, a couple of. Okay, so I'm gonna cast Ice Knife
Okay.
on the worm.
Okay.
On the worm.
Give
Yeah.
me an attack roll at advantage as you sort of oh gosh tap into the earth surrounding you.
It's just
and-
a regular D20 attack roll.
Yes,
Okay.
as the ice knife forms in your hand and you finish your casting and place a handkerchief over your hand and the ice knife is there and you go, and the ice knife goes flying outward towards. This
19.
19 hits. Roll damage for me. Dez, you are up next, followed by Slowpoke.
Nothing happened.
Okay.
5.
Okay, 5 points of damage as the ice slams into it. Give me a Constitution saving throw. I need you to give me a D20.
Really good track record. Yes. Ooh, better. 19.
Yep. You feel this kind of feels like your arms falling asleep a little bit, but you manage to shake it off. It's nothing. This is you are the god. Kind.
Glowing from the
Yeah, right,
eyes.
yeah. So that is your turn, Edwin. You do anything with your bonus action?
The shard.
You don't have to raise
The
your
shard
hand,
exploded. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So a dex save.
Yeah, it would be a dex of 12.
Cool. Anybody up close and personal with this thing yet?
I'm
No?
the only one
I don't know
who's
where I
not.
am.
Not yet. I'll say not yet. It makes it safe.
Okay.
And manages-
Did she?
This giant worm. She's a little bit further back in the pool. So
Okay.
as she got in the pool and sort of backed out, this thing goes in front of her, interposing itself.
Sure.
So if you want to get to her, you're gonna have to go a different route.
No, that's fine. With my bonus action,
Yes.
I'm gonna cast. Can I cast Flame Blade? It's a bonus action.
If you've cast a cantrip, and is Ice Blade a
No, Ice Knife is a spell.
then no.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought I could because it was a bonus action, but no, I got it.
No, one's got to
okay.
be a cantrip.
Okay. So
That's- I think
I don't
that-
think I can do anything else.
Okay. Dez, your turn.
Okay, so can you give me a visual of where she is located and where the worm is?
You guys are all
located?
backed up in a giant circle. Imagine a big pool of water. The worm jumps out of the pool, and she's standing behind the pool of water. Like she's at the pool of water that looked at everybody, and then just sort of outstretched her hand. And as she did, this worm came out in front of her. So giant worm in front of her, pool of water. She's standing on the opposite edge.
Is there a direct path to her?
You can
like,
run around the pool of water. You don't know the reach of this thing. I mean, yeah, I think if you use your entire movement, you can make your way over to where she is.
Okay, because I'm in the mast that we were talking about.
Correct. You
that-
have to jump off the mast and run around this body of water.
What if I were to jump to her and then cast levitate on myself? Would I be able to use my movement to go over that way with the momentum
You might be
of
able
the
to
jump?
do step of the wind, which might be a better. You want to like jump, cast levitate on yourself, and just go wee,
You
like
have
float.
levitate?
Huh?
You have levitate?
The necklace.
Let's fly.
Oh, it's fly.
And it takes an action.
Shoot, yeah, I know fly takes.
You can
I know
you
both
can
of
cast
them
that on
take-
yourself, but then you would just have a bonus action.
Yeah, that's fine with me. So would I be able to get over there by flying and jumping? There?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I make my way over to her, not to the worm.
Okay.
And still flying, can I use a key point? I take out a little bobcat totem and I crush it, and I use my Fury of Blows on her.
Flurry of blows.
Flurry of blows.
Yes, I'm into
And
it.
I do 2 unarmed strikes.
Now,
against
do you
her.
need to make an attack action in order to use Flurry of Blows as a monk? Does your first action need to be an attack action, or can you just use your bonus action to
Oh,
start like
shoot,
wailing
it-
away into that?
It does need an attack
Okay,
action.
so you
Shoot.
we'll just say that you like interpose yourself in front of her,
Okay.
and you're ready to go.
Yeah, I ready in action, and can I aim myself behind her by any means?
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. You feel your presence behind you, but you're sort of centered out forward. Okay. That's your turn. Who's up next? Slowpoke.
I'm gonna use Hunter's Sense to see if this thing has any damage immunities, resistance, or vulnerabilities.
Which one?
Oh, I didn't know I had to pick.
You do know.
It's you immediately learn whether I learned whether creature has any damage immunities,
Whether
resistance.
a
to-
creature. So are you choosing asphyxia, or
No,
are you
the
choosing
worm.
the worm?
Worm.
Okay. Yeah. You realize that this thing has an immunity to poison damage,
Right. So,
but
But would not know.
you would
No.
not know this unless he screams out like, "Don't poison it!" No.
well, I do.
Yeah.
Wait, great, thank you
And then
so
as a
much.
bonus action, I might cast Slayer's Prey. Not cat. It's not whatever. Use Slayer's Prey on it, so next to my attack, I get like a whatever.
Cool. That's your turn.
Yeah.
Thistle.
As a bonus action, I cast Shield of Faith, and a shimmering field appears around me.
Adding a +2 to your
adding
AC.
a +2 to my AC.
Correct.
And then I am going to also cast Mirror Image on myself with my full action. So 3 illusory duplicates of myself appear in my space and mimic my actions.
Got it.
And if she tries to attack me, she's going to have difficulty doing that.
Asphyxia, knowing the field, what would you like to do? You have 3 attacks here.
Am I able to tell who is my biggest threat?
You are not at this point. No one has hurt you except for the turtle guy.
It's true. It's me.
Right.
There's a figure behind you, but the turtle guy made
And
you
I can
bleed.
feel the figure behind me. Can I see it?
You can turn around and look. Yeah. As you turn around and look, your eyes sort of glaze over, and like you are unable to see it, but the worm turns its head
I was
to the
gonna
side.
say somebody else can see it.
The
can't they?
worm doesn't turn its head to the side. It goes like this. It like closes its mouth, and there is a tremor in the ground, and you can see where everybody's standing in the room. You see where every object is in the room. You see everything as this
Well, she's off the ground, right?
I'm off the ground.
this blind sense, this sonar echoes outward and goes.
The whole room.
You see where everything is standing in the entire room.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just yank that arrow out of my neck,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna stab it right into Des behind me.
Okay. Give me an attack roll as you are. Were you flying at ground level, or you were like standing
No,
above
I was
her?
like above her.
Like above, like
Okay.
Yeah,
like too high to
Fly
reach,
says
For you, yes.
Fly is 30.
fly is 30
but not for
feet.
the arrow to reach.
But
You could throw.
You can throw it.
You can
but
throw the arrow, or you can
I
have
don't know
something
if
else.
you want to throw it.
he mentioned the dimension of the cave. I'm at 20 feet.
Okay.
So
20
Sounds
feet's
good.
about the top, so
Good.
you're at
I'd
the top
probably
of
be
20.
at like no, because I wanted to ready an action against her. I'd probably be at like 10 feet.
You're
or
10 feet in
so.
the air.
So like just
try.
enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna yoink that right in my neck and just throw it behind
Give
me
me an
like,
attack roll.
without even looking.
Prepare what I think you're going to prepare as you take this arrow out of you, and give me a d20 as
Where's my
you
D10?
take this arrow out, and as you do, tiny little worms will sort of crawl out of the wound on your skin, and as they do, they will eat up the decaying flesh and leave a cocoon-like material over the wound, and the wound will start to stitch itself back up.
As a cleric, would she be reading as undead to me?
You can look on your turn.
Okay.
Cool. Give me an attack roll.
Arrow.
Yeah, arrow.
10.
10. Ranged attack. 16 versus AC.
16 versus AC. It hits.
Arrow out. And she just sort of turns in your direction and throws the arrow and flings it outward.
Should I do my thing now or after she rolls
do
for
your
damage?
do your thing now.
Okay, cool. 6 plus my
Roll damage.
dex.
Here, I'll do damage for you.
6 plus 3. That's
Roll a d6
9,
for me.
plus my level.
It's 4.
4. 9 plus 4, 13.
13. So you mitigate this. I don't think you catch it outright, like you throw your hand up, right?
Okay.
Like, because you have to match the attack.
How much damage was it?
Oh, no, it goes off damage, not the attack roll.
It goes off damage.
What did you get? 9 points of damage.
Okay, so I'm able to catch it and throw it back using 1 key point.
She once again, as this arrow flies through the air, there's this moment where she looks like scared and like puts her hand up, and as she puts the hand up, she's positioning the hand so that the arrow gets close, and she goes, huh! And like turns to you, flips it, and goes, and like throws it forward using the momentum of the arrow. Give me an attack roll, please.
And it's on. Yeah, it's not on advantage.
You still have 2 more attacks
Monks,
using
man.
either the worm or yourself.
Attack roll.
I'll
That's
hit.
18 to hit.
18 to hit. 18. The arrow, like in a weird turn of like fate, like flies forward, and as it does, it goes towards her. It like turns around and goes right back into the same wound that had almost been closed up completely, like shoving into you. And you let loose this scream as a small gash opens up on the worm that's in the room.
Got it. Slowpoke's looking like it still counts for mine.
Mine, still mine,
Still
my
mine.
kill.
So I have a question. Do I roll for damage, or is it the same damage that?
Same damage.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to treat the arrow, so that we're not constantly having to re-roll.
Oh yeah, that's
things
good
of that
with me.
sort.
That's better for me.
That's better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like
Give
that.
me. You still have 2 more attacks. What would you like to do? You can use the worm.
I can, right?
Yeah.
Who's
You-
closest?
They're all equal. You can just shove him forward a little bit. The only one, no one is in melee with this worm yet. Everybody's in equal distance. She's floating 20 feet in the air, so you can try to smack her down.
How much?
There's a bunch of her.
How much reach does this have?
A lot of reach. You could basically hit anybody you want to in the room.
I'm gonna go for the monk.
The monk. There's like this guttural scream as asphyxia screams, and the worm itself also screams, and you're like, oh, mama, no. So the worm sort of flies forward, and as it does, it reaches out its head to try to bite you.
Is there any way that I could use patient defense, which is a dodge, as a reaction?
You've already used your reaction, I believe, to
Okay.
throw that arrow back. Double check and make sure that
Because
that's.
isn't it 2 different?
But you get one
It
reaction
is.
until
You
your
get
turn.
one reaction
I
as a
gotcha.
player. So
I
you've
feel
thrown
ya.
that arrow back, and as you're sort of getting yourself back into the movement again, that is a 19 to hit.
19 hits.
Yeah, there is a slam forward as this worm bites down, trying to tear off the same sort of chunk of skin that you tore off her shoulder in this odd mirroring movement. As you take 7 points of damage as
That's
this
fine
thing
with me.
like tears off a chunk of your shoulder. Would you like to attack anybody else or the same person?
That worm turns into a. It just remains as a worm and takes a bite,
Yes.
or it turns into a shark head.
If you want to burn your other action, I will allow you to do that. But that's utilizing your magic on something that you're controlling. If you want to do that, you may.
No, I'll save it.
Okay,
'Kay.
cool. You have one more attack. Who are you attacking? Her again?
Yeah, but this time that way.
Okay. As this thing bites down at you, there is this flash of arcane energy as the smell of blood is in the air. This is a 16 to hit your AC.
That hits.
That hits. The worm this time looks forward as the crown atop her head ignites, and instead of a worm, it is the body of a worm, but it
This
is.
is a necklace.
Oh, it's the necklace?
Yeah.
That's right. The necklace around her sort of like floats in the air, and as it does, you see 8 individual shark teeth, all of various like sizes and shapes, as this thing turns around, and a giant shark head is now forming on the worm itself as it reaches down to bite you.
Might as well. This might as well happen.
It is. Hang on. It is 12 points of damage as this shark like picks you up in its jaws and like sort of throws you off to the side.
Okay.
Okay.
But he's no longer in my distance.
No, you
Cool.
are no longer in like melee with this as it picks you up, throws you off to
I
the
don't
side.
want to be in melee.
Okay. There is this feeling of power as the energy retreats back into the necklace. All right. That is your turn. We go back to the top of the initiative order again.
Okay, so I want to. I'm going to cast Chromatic Orb at 2nd level. I'm also
Okay.
going to twin it.
Okay.
So we're going to the worm first.
Okay. You're doing a sorcery point.
Yes.
Okay.
Which would be 2, so
Okay.
the 2nd level. So that's going to be 16 to hit.
16. Yes, that hits.
Perfect. So worm damage is going to be. Sorry, this takes a little bit.
What sort of damage are you doing?
Oh, what did I decide? Lightning.
Lightning damage.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. 7 plus 5. It's 19 points of damage.
Okay. 19.
And I'm gonna twin it and
Okay.
go against her. So that's gonna be 17 to hit.
Okay.
That hits.
Hits,
no?
Chromatic Orb, 17 hits. Yes, roll damage for that as well.
And that's gonna be 17 points to hit.
Give me a D20 twice. Since you have cast this spell twice.
Let go! That's gonna be a 6 and a 1.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
She's wild magic, right?
Give me a
Oh no.
D100, my
Okay.
dude, as these spells fly outward and you get blasted back with this like shot of lightning.
43.
And so
Not me,
does
the worm.
the worm.
I did
No,
both.
she hit
No.
both. She channels into the wild magic inherent around Neverland. 43.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, what? Oh, whoa. You feel super weird all of a sudden, and like you start like looking over at her, and you realize like behind you could be a little bit safer than where you were. And as you're like, yeah, what? You teleport behind you for a little bit, because for the next minute you can teleport up to 20 feet as a bonus action.
Nice.
For the next minute, so you can just bamf all over the room.
Yo!
Okay.
Let's go!
Oh
Nice.
my gosh.
Ah, that's so fun.
You all stab and poof.
Yeah.
The old sound proof.
Love it,
Edwin
don't worry.
Reynolds.
This arrow that is lodged in her shoulder, any metal on that?
The
Metal arrowhead?
The arrowhead,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna cast heat metal on that arrowhead
What
that's
is the
currently
range?
lodged.
What is the range of heat metal?
60 feet.
Okay.
So I can choose a manufactured metal object, such as a metal weapon or a suit of heavy armor, or medium, and blah blah blah. You can cause the object to glow red hot. Any creature in physical contact with the object takes 2d8 fire damage when you cast the spell. Until the spell ends, you can use a bonus action on each of your subsequent turns that cause this damage again. If a creature is holding or wearing the object and takes the damage from it, the creature must succeed in a Constitution saving throw or drop the object if it can. But it is lodged in her,
It
so
is
can't
not.
drop it.
Okay.
If it doesn't drop the object, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the start of your next turn.
Roll
Oh, good
2d8.
use of that spell.
6.
You take 6 points of fire damage as your shoulder where that arrow was sticking in all of a sudden like looks like it is like on fire, and a part of this worm near the back of it just sort of sloughs off as it looks like it like charbroils a little bit, and this arrow is sticking out of you. If you would like to, as a reaction, I will let you try to
Yoink it out? Yeah.
Yoink it out.
I'm gonna
yes.
go for yoink it out.
Go for the opposite of a yeet and yoink it. Give me a
The Lord
D20.
eateth and the Lord.
The Lord eateth and the druid yoinketh away.
7.
You take your hand and you're like, "Argh!"
Oh no.
That's
That was scary.
not a good
look.
face.
I'm going to give you a choice.
Oh.
You realize as you yank this thing, it's not going to come out. But if you want to,
Push
I
it.
will let you
Push it.
real
Push
good.
it. Real good.
Okay.
Push it.
Then the feathers go through and you get tickled as well.
You take
Yes,
another
that's the problem.
9 points of damage as like these little worms are now crawling all over her trying to close these wounds, but they're appearing too fast, but the arrow falls out of you and just sort of sizzles on the ground, and there's this as
Oh,
your
no.
head looks over to where Edwin is, and the worm's head turns around and looks to where Edwin is, and they both just start staring at you, Edwin.
Oh no.
Got it. How's Des looking?
Dez is looking rough.
Rough. I am going to pull from my Fey pool
Okay.
and heal her a
Okay.
little bit. Give me a second. I gotta remember how that happens.
Okay.
That's a
look,
thing that I could do.
look into that,
Yeah, I got it.
and then.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll 4. I'll roll 2d6.
Is this part of your druid circle?
Yeah. Balm of the Summer Court.
It's a bomb.
Oh, the summer court. What circle did you choose, my dude?
I chose. You know that one. Hold on.
Well, as we
Night. I think it was night.
Night is a homebrew.
Or no. I don't-
Talked about not
No,
picking
I don't
three
remember what I
from
chose. Hold
homebrew.
on.
All right, as you look this up, we go to the next person.
Yeah, I
in
don't have to use it.
initiative.
I mean,
Which is
sorry.
me.
Tried.
Des.
Yeah, that's me.
Hi. What are you
Okay.
doing?
I got thrown, but am I still close to her?
I would say you're
Ish.
about 15 feet away.
Okay.
You're still flying.
Dreams. I
she's-
chose dreams.
That is acceptable. How much does she heal for?
She heals. 10 points.
Oh.
Des,
Take 10.
there's this odd moment where Edwin starts talking to himself, and he's like, "Listen, here's the deal. I don't ask for a lot, but if you don't mind, like I could really use some help." And like the Earth's like, "I'll allow it." And like there's a blast of healing energy that reaches for. So you're healed for 10 points.
So it's a verbal spell then?
It is.
Okay, just asking.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Your
on
turn, Des.
my turn, she's looking pretty distracted by her
Full
arrow.
holes.
By her
Oh,
full
the
of
arrow's,
holes.
the arrow's out.
Yeah, but she was distracted by
Holes.
the act of
So
getting it
many
out.
holes, yeah.
So I'm gonna go over to her, and I'm just gonna smack her with my axe real hard
Okay.
on the pointy end.
I was about to ask where.
Nope, just.
Do you know how to use that? Yes. It goes into the other mouth.
This part goes there.
Give me an attack roll.
Okay. What do I add to the
Plus
check?
5.
Plus 5. Cool. Does a 16 hit?
A 16 just hits.
Cool.
This damage is going to be mitigated a little bit. She can
Alright.
see the attack and it's coming towards her, and so she halves the damage on this. But give me attack right now. Give me an
Alright,
attack
so
roll.
that's 1d6 plus 3. That will be 6 damage, so half that is 3.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna burn a key point.
Into flurry of blows.
Yeah,
As you do what you're doing best.
blows.
As that other hand comes up and you go full on, like, do.
Yeah.
Check your phone.
Alright, so my unarmed strikes, that's 1d4 plus 3, so let me find my little d4.
As we do that, Slowpoke, you were up next, followed by Thistle.
Do I roll to hit for my bonus action?
Each flurry of blows, it's
Each-
another attack. So it's like
Okay,
two different
so
attacks.
1, 2.
Yeah, so roll
Cool.
your first attack.
There's a 16 and a 5, so.
Okay, the 5's not gonna hit, the
Yeah,
16 is
the
definitely gonna hit,
16
so roll
will.
damage.
3 plus 3 is 6.
Okay, you take
Three
another
plus three is
6 points of damage. Oh, shit. Yeah, okay,
There's number 2.
you both?
Either.
Okay,
Do I get to pick one or the other or both? I
You
get to
can-
do both,
you can-
right? Because I
you-
would totally do both.
damn it, okay.
Ugh, well, swearing going on over here.
I'm sorry, I apologize for everybody that's, okay.
My action's next.
No, I'm scared.
After her.
I'm thinking it
That was
terrifies
Des,
me.
that was your
She has a
action and
reaction.
your
Or my
bonus
knee.
action?
She has a
Yeah,
reaction,
she has a
right?
reaction.
No,
Huh?
she's,
Because
you guys all, as
Could I
you,
use the little bit of distance left to like retreat back, or will that?
you will
spread
take an
over to
attack of
the
opportunity because you got up close to her to stab her with the pointy end of the axe.
All right, never mind then. Cool.
Slowpoke, you're up.
Right.
Give me a free perception check.
Me?
Yep.
Nice. Oh, I wish I used that for an attack. 22.
As the blood is pouring out of these wounds and stuff like it's faster than the worms can help, there is a slight rumbling coming from the ground.
Oh no.
Your turn.
We might have more company. Alright. I'm gonna aim. This is a bad idea because it's not gonna work. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna aim at her, but with my bow, but use. No, first I'm gonna cast. No, I'm not gonna cast anything.
We're taking an emotional journey together.
Yes.
We're all together.
I'm gonna use sharpshooter.
Okay,
Take
so
that.
-5 to your attack.
Yep.
You're aiming at her or the worm?
Her.
Okay.
So that's 17.
17 hits.
All right. And then so 17. No. +2. 19.
19. Another arrow goes shrieking out towards you, and as it does, you hit your knees, and that rumbling sound that you felt underneath your feet gets even more pronounced as she looks like she is on death's friggin' door. Which brings us, however ironically it sounds, to Thistle.
Am I getting as a cleric that this is an undead being in front of me
No.
based on everything that's
it's-
happened?
Definitely not. You can't ask
Her?
her.
Okay, her.
No.
No,
I would have,
okay.
because I would have said something
There is a
if I
s-
sensed
Okay.
The entire cave is beginning to shake now as
Okay.
Asphyxia just barely picks herself up and stands and stares down at you, Thistle. As these duplicates are there, you realize that like she looks badly injured, but the worm is still very much active, and it's doing that odd vibrating thing that it was doing before, but it looks like it's picking up in frequency.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm going to cast a guiding bolt towards her.
Okay.
I'm going to cast it at 2nd level.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to know
Okay.
that this attack roll is a big deal. Okay?
Okay.
And I only say this to make sure that this is something that you want to do. It's not good. I can't say any more than that.
Is there something that can I do a perception to see if there or an insight to see if there's something I'm missing here? I'm not seeing.
You feel this little voice in the back of your head, and it's almost like that same little voice of like your head darts between the worm and where she is, and you don't know where to blast this thing. I think you start casting it and bring your arm up, and it's right in between the two of them. So as you drift your arm back to where she is, it kind of shifts back over to the worm, and you don't know where you want to aim this.
I'm gonna aim it at the worm.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think it's gonna matter anyway. That's a 13 to hit.
13 hits. Roll damage.
It does. Okay.
You can actually roll that d20 again, please.
Okay.
Nobody's been attacking the worm. Everybody's been attacking
That's
her. The worm
a
has been
15 to hit.
Okay, that's better. I mean, not better, but like it still hits. I was just having you go crit fishing. Roll damage.
Okay, got it. Can I borrow a D4? I mean a D6. I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I pick up. Okay. Blah, blah. 11, 14, 18 points radiant damage.
The worm screeches outward, and as it does, you screech outward as well. Your attacks have been cut off. You can choose one or the other.
Fall and crawl and
Yeah.
swim away.
There is a movement where like she begins to crawl forward towards the pool. As the worm hits the ground, she jumps into the pool and uses her movement speed to get away. You will get an attack of opportunity.
I get
here.
an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, so as she crawls away,
Yeah.
give me an attack of opportunity here as you take a swing at her with your axe.
All right. Ooh, that will be a 23 to hit.
23 hits, roll damage.
7.
Do you have the sentinel feat?
No.
With 1 point of health, she crawls over to the pool of water, falls in, the crown falling off behind her and falling to the, like, to lay against the pool edge, and she swims down deep into the water.
Bye. I'm
As,
done.
as Asphyxia,
None of this would have happened if you had just let that bone fall into the water.
as Asphyxia has left the game, thank you, Asphyxia. That was nuts.
Couldn't just let it happen.
You are welcome to stay.
You still
You
have
also-
more friend.
Yeah.
I didn't know him. I just didn't like her.
The worm is still in the chamber and it is not moving. From what you see, it appears to be dead.
Chilling.
As the stones that were about to be caved in and an ultimate cave in around everybody looks to have been stopped.
Oh no. Oh.
Okay then.
Okay.
What would we like to do?
So the crown is over there.
The crown is still next to the pool of water.
I like pick it up with the hilt of my axe and hold it by the axe,
Okay.
just to make sure that it gets away from the water.
Because you did not use your hand, the hand that was ready to grab your hand and yank you into the water to drown you, based on namesake, is not able to do it. As you grab for the crown, with the axe, the hand comes up, and like you see these talons sort of extend and then back into the water as
Does it
quickly
look
as
like
it
her
can.
hand or just a different mermaid? Couldn't tell.
It's hard to
It's a
tell.
merhand.
It's a merhand.
It's not a humanoid hand.
The crown is now in your possession. There is no wizard in this party,
So we can't figure this thing out.
You
No, I
can,
can't identify.
but you will have to do that by wearing it.
Oh.
If
I'm
you
not
would,
gonna take a bet.
Or finding a
or
wizard.
finding a wizard. If you want to search around this space, you are more than welcome to. However, you do know that Clip and
And
Cal are waiting for you all, so take as long as you want.
That's where we need Fortunato back.
Take as long as you want.
let's leave.
I don't
Mm.
want to speak here.
I want to make sure that I have, that I pocket Cal's finger so that I can return it to him.
You pocket Cal's finger.
Yes.
Do you take anything else from this area? Do you look for anything else in this area?
I'm gonna look around as much as I can with my little light cantrip.
Investigation. As Thistle stays behind a little bit as people start moving their way.
It's a 5.
You find just little bits of trash and refuse. You do find a broken teacup.
Does it have who dat something on it?
Not who'd out anything on it. It looks like an odd picture of from what you can see on the teacup, it looks like a pair of white furry legs. But it's broken. Anybody else staying behind to look for stuff? Out?
Out.
Out? Or staying?
I mean, I would just kind of follow along with them for a couple
Give
of
me an
minutes.
investigation check.
Yeah.
Can I grab the teacup and cast mending on it?
Sure.
10 plus 1. 11.
Okay.
It doesn't restore magic to the item, just
It does not restore,
Yeah.
which is
so you know.
probably a good thing. Yeah, you know what? You find a jade figurine tucked in the back corner. It looks a little chipped and worn around the edges, but it's a jade figurine. As you begin to polish the jade a little bit, you look like it. You can't decide if it was a cow or a camel,
Okay.
but it's a little chipped and broken.
Okay.
Cool. Everybody leaves the cave. It's good. The water starts kind of pouring into the cave as you guys start leaving out. It starts hitting your ankles first, and as you make your way over to that small sort of opening, more and more water comes in, but as you crawl out of that hole, the water never seems to eke outward through. It is a long walk back to where this adventure first started, and as you get there, Cal is still looks like he's still telling the story that he was starting to tell as you guys left and just getting to the punchline. And he's like, and then I said, those aren't pillows. And Clip is like laughing, but this woman looks like she's in hell. This mermaid, she looks like she's in, like this is the worst day of her life. As you get back, she looks over to where Asphyxia is, and there's a twinge of sadness as she bows her head. Is it done?
What do we It is
In
done.
a sense.
Yes, everything's done.
She swam away in the water.
Well, as these things go, our bargain is complete. Thank you. Who's holding the crown?
That's
Are you holding it on your person? Is it in a bag?
I would have put it in a bag.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think her eyes dart around the group and she nods her head and she says, "Let there be a bargain." And she hands forth the shiny clicky clacks of the rainbow variety. And this is where we will draw the winner for these rainbow clicky clacks as we get close to the end of the birthday stream. As she passes them out and Clip and Cal rejoin the group.
Oh my gosh!
T. Graves,
Yay!
congratulations on winning.
Nice.
That's amazing. There is a look of bargain complete, and you hand over Cal's missing pinky bone, and he hooks it back into the socket. And as you all convene together for the evening, Edwin Reynolds, you join the group for a little bit of food and frivolity, actually being accepted into a group as you've been released of your servitude to the mermaids of the area. As you all settle down for the evening, there is another sound of rustling as the two parties come forward again. It is the Lost Boys and the Never Boys. The Never Boys now have a new member in their party, as Daisy stands before them, flanked by the largest looking lizard you have ever seen in your entire life, wearing fluffy bunny slippers. But he is standing behind these girls. He's covered and decked out in armor, and he's kind of smiling, this big smile, and he's got like a sword with him. And you can see that all these girls are standing there, and the boys are like trying to look tough, but every once in a while will just sort of like look over, and the dragon catches wind of this and looks over at the boys and goes, and a little bit of smoke will curl out of the nostrils, and Daisy walks forward and goes, "We need to talk."
all of us.
Yes.
I cast message to Des and I ask her for the bear.
Yeah.
I like take it out and I toss it over.
Yeah.
I kneel down before Daisy and offer it to her.
She like looks at it and she's like really happy. She was like, "Here's the deal," and she turns and like addresses the group. And as she walks, Pax, this large dragonborn, steps behind her, says, "These guys made a deal. Everybody finds their home, and once everybody finds where they're supposed to go, then they get to go home, right?
Yes, that's
So, this'll can't go back with you guys. Never, boys. Not yet. And Slowpoke, you can't go back with the Lost Boys. Not yet. Because you made a promise. And a promise is really important. So, we're going to be our own group for a little bit. We're going to represent the Ingo Chameleon. Just like Pax. And so there will be Lost Boys, there will be Never Boys, and we'll all work together. But until everybody finds their home, they're with me. Right, Pax? And Pax like crosses his arms. He goes, "The treehouse is ours. But once they find their homes, we'll come back home to where we belong. After everybody fits in. Okay?"
yes. Yes.
And one of the boys walks forward. He's kind of like, he like spits in his hand and puts it out. And Daisy spits in her hand and puts it out. And one of the Never Boys walks forward and like looks over at you as if to say like, "Is this acceptable?"
This is acceptable.
Can't believe you gotta be with boys. And like puts her hand out, and the three of them try to awkwardly shake hands, like with spit, and spit just gets everywhere, all over hands and stuff like that, and like leaving little smears of dirt. And it's like, Toodles walks up. out of the group and like has you come down.
Yes.
I'll wait.
All right. Wait for what?
And he like brings you forward, punches you in the nuts.
Yes, right.
I fall backwards and die laughing.
As you fall backwards, he looks at you and he grabs your face again and he smushes your cheeks. And he's like, I always look out for my little brother. And he smushes your face as this tall sort of figure. He sort of nods and he pats Slowpoke and turns around and walks back with the group. As the Lost Boys sort of look at all of you, and the Never Boys look off, and a brand new faction, until everybody finds their home, sets forth into Neverland. And Edwin just awkwardly casts the water spell over the spot where the kids spit on their heads. It's just you.
Also to clean up the vomit that's laying nearby from
Yes.
where
And that's where we're going to end tonight's episode. Biggest, happiest birthday to Indigo Chameleon. We love you so much. Thank you for creating this amazing place. And we love you guys so much. Go out there. There's always a spot at the table for each and every one of you. Indigo Connect. Thank you, Annette, for joining us and being an impromptu bad guy. We love you, and are we ever going to stop telling these odd, weird, amazingly fun games?
Never.
Except for next week. We're off next week.
Oh,
There'll be
that's
another one.
mostly never.
But the next episode is going to be a big one. We're going to, I don't want to spoil it, but we're getting into something that hasn't been covered yet in Neverland, and it's a big facet of Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm excited to introduce it to you guys. So we will see you guys soon. Bye.